The Galactic Intelligence Network had spent 3 years trying to gather information about what humans were doing in their isolated space, and the fragments they finally collected were more terrifying than anyone had imagined. Spymaster Thelvek stood in the center of the secret intelligence facility, hidden inside an asteroid between two dead stars. His team of the galaxy's best spies and analysts had worked around the clock to piece together the truth about humanity's transformation. "Show them the dimensional readings," Thelvex ordered his chief analyst. Reconnaissance officer Yarketh activated the holographic display that showed energy patterns unlike anything in their databases. The readings came from sensors placed at the very edge of human space, where they could barely detect anything happening in the inner systems. "The humans are not just hiding their colonies," Yarketh reported. "They have learned to fold space itself. Their settlements exist in parallel dimensions that occupy the same coordinates as empty void, but cannot be detected or reached by normal means." Dr. Kelthera, the galaxy's leading expert on dimensional physics, stared at the data with her 4 eyes wide in disbelief. Her crystalline brain had studied space-time manipulation for over 2 centuries, but what she was seeing violated every theory. She knew. "This should be impossible," she whispered. "The energy requirements alone would drain the power of an entire star system, and the mathematical complexity needed to maintain stable dimensional folds across multiple worlds would require computational power beyond anything we have ever built." But the evidence was undeniable. Human colonies had not disappeared, they had moved to a layer of reality that aliens could not access. It was like they were living in the same house, but on a floor that did not exist for anyone else. The breakthrough in understanding came when Interceptor Vailnus managed to capture a fragment of human communication that had leaked through dimensional barriers. The message was brief, but it revealed everything the aliens feared most. The transmission showed Engineer Yoonji Lee speaking to Commander Sung-Ho Kim on a channel that should not have been possible to intercept. Her words sent chills through every alien who heard them. "Phase 7 of the Terran Ascension Project is complete, Commander. We have successfully integrated biological enhancement with dimensional manipulation technology. The new generation of humans can exist comfortably in folded space and interface directly with our advanced systems. They are no longer compatible with standard galactic environments." Xenobiologist Mordex, who had studied every known species in the galaxy, began calculating the implications of what they had just heard. His tentacles writhed with anxiety as he presented his analysis to the intelligence team. "If humans have undergone biological modification on this scale, they are no longer the same species we expelled from the Council. They have evolved beyond their original limitations and created something entirely new. The question is whether they still think of themselves as human, or if they have become something else entirely." Captain Minho Choi was indeed no longer entirely human in the way his species had been 3 years earlier. Standing on the bridge of his dimensional ship New Soul, he represented the pinnacle of human evolution. His enhanced mind could process information at speeds that would have been impossible for baseline humans, while his modified body could survive in environments that would kill his ancestors. His crew, including navigator Yejin Park and science officer Dongmin Lee, had all undergone the same transformation. They could exist in normal space when needed, but they were most comfortable in the folded dimensions where their ships operated. Their enhanced senses could perceive layers of reality that aliens could not even imagine. "Navigator, set course for the Andromeda survey mission," Captain Minho ordered. "Science officer, begin deep space scans for the phenomena we detected last month." What the aliens did not know was that human exploration had already extended far beyond their own galaxy. The enhanced humans were investigating cosmic threats that made current galactic politics seem trivial. They had found evidence of ancient entities that viewed all current life as insignificant insects, to be swept aside when convenient. Back in the intelligence facility, the alien analysts were trying to understand readings that suggested human expansion on a scale that defied comprehension. Stellar engineer Kextron had been studying energy signatures for months, trying to determine what the humans were building. "The structure around their star system is nearly complete," he reported. "It appears to be a complete sphere that will capture the entire energy output of their sun, but that is not the most disturbing part of our findings. The holographic display shifted to show long-range sensor data from beyond the galactic rim. Kextron pointed to energy signatures that appeared in empty space where no stars should exist. We are detecting similar construction projects in at least 12 different locations outside our galaxy. The humans are not just building in their home system, they are establishing installations across vast distances that our fastest ships could not travel in 1,000 years. The implications hit the intelligence team like a physical blow. Humans were not just hiding from galactic civilization, they were surpassing it entirely. While aliens argued about trade routes and territory boundaries, humans were spreading across the universe itself. Strategic analyst Nephthys, who had predicted the outcomes of countless wars and conflicts, was studying tactical data that made her question everything she thought she knew about power and capability. Every alien ship that has encountered human vessels has been effortlessly outclassed, she reported. The humans demonstrate overwhelming superiority, but they do not destroy or capture their opponents. They simply show them how helpless they are and then allow them to leave. This suggests either incredible mercy or complete indifference to alien military capabilities. Admiral Haewon Kim was indeed operating under protocols that would have seemed impossible to the humans of 3 years earlier. Her enhanced consciousness could simultaneously coordinate thousands of ships operating across multiple dimensions while maintaining awareness of threats that existed outside normal space-time. Working with ethics director Seo-Yoon Park, she had established rules of engagement that reflected humanity's evolved perspective on the galaxy they had once sought to join. Enhanced humans possessed power that could reshape reality itself, but they chose to exercise restraint based on principles that transcended their original biology. We are no longer seeking acceptance or revenge, Admiral Haewon explained to her, senior staff. We have evolved beyond such concerns. Our mission now is to protect all life from threats that current galactic civilization cannot even perceive. The cosmic entities that enhanced humans had discovered were beings of pure energy and malevolent intelligence that existed between dimensions. They fed on the life force of entire galaxies and had been slowly approaching this region of space for millions of years. Galactic civilization had perhaps a century before these cosmic predators arrived in force. Dr. Woojin Park's research teams had detected the first signs of these entities during their dimensional experiments. What they found was so terrifying that it had driven humanity's rapid evolution from a survival necessity, rather than mere ambition. They had to become something greater than human in order to have any hope of protecting the galaxy from extinction. Defense Minister Young-Soo Kim reviewed intelligence reports that showed the approaching cosmic threat while monitoring alien reactions to humanity's transformation. The species that had once dismissed humans as primitive would soon need protection from horrors they could not imagine. Sir, the aliens are beginning to understand that we have changed, but they still have no idea why, reported Intelligence Director Yeon-Woo Choi. Should we attempt to warn them about the cosmic entities? Young-Soo considered the question. Carefully, the aliens had rejected humanity when they were weak and seeking friendship. Now humanity had become something powerful enough to protect them whether they wanted protection or not. Not yet, he decided. Let them continue trying to understand what we have become. When the time is right, we will reveal the truth about why we evolved and what we are preparing to fight. For now, they need to accept that the primitive mammals they dismissed have become something beyond their ability to threaten or control. The galaxy's former rulers were about to learn that evolution could be directed by intelligence and will, rather than random chance. Humanity had chosen to transcend their limitations, and in doing so, they had become the guardians of species that had never asked for protection, but would soon desperately need it. The revelation was coming that would change everything the aliens thought they knew about power survival and the true threats that existed in the universe. 5 years after the diplomatic incident that changed everything, the Galactic Council was falling apart like a house built on sand. Half the member species had withdrawn to their home systems to prepare defenses against what they believed was an inevitable human invasion. The other half gathered in emergency session, hoping to find some way to avoid complete destruction at the hands of beings they no longer understood. Prime Counselor Vex Tar floated in the center of the chamber that had once been filled with arrogant voices dismissing human capabilities. Now those same voices whispered in fear as they debated their only remaining option. Ambassador Kretos of the Serpentine Dominion coiled his scaled body nervously as he prepared to speak words that would have been unthinkable 5 years earlier. "Honored counselors, we have no choice left," he said with his forked tongue flicking out in distress. "We must attempt contact with the humans and offer unconditional surrender. Perhaps if we beg for mercy, they will allow some of us to survive whatever they are planning." The chamber erupted in arguments as different species debated whether surrender was wisdom or cowardice. The crystalline being Zephyros flickered with chaotic light patterns that showed the internal conflict within the hive mind consciousness. "The collective has analyzed all possible outcomes," Zephyros announced. "Military resistance against human forces would result in complete annihilation within hours. Diplomatic negotiation is impossible because we destroyed those relationships ourselves. Surrender is our only hope for survival." War leader Drax Moore of the Draconian Empire rose to his full intimidating height, but his usual confidence was gone. His people had ruled through strength for 10,000 years, but strength meant nothing against beings who could manipulate reality itself. "If we must surrender, then let it be done properly," he growled. "Send the message on all frequencies and channels. Tell the humans that the Galactic Council acknowledges their supremacy and begs for mercy." The message was broadcast across the galaxy, using every communication system available. It reached human space within hours, and the response came not from Earth but from the completed megastructure that now surrounded humanity's star. The Dyson sphere that captured the total energy output of Sol represented technological achievement beyond anything aliens had imagined possible. Ambassador Hyunwoo Kim received the surrender message while standing in the command center of the sphere. 5 years of enhancement had changed him in ways that went far beyond his increased physical and mental capabilities. His consciousness now extended across multiple dimensions, while remaining fundamentally human in its core values and ethics. "So they finally understand what they created when they rejected us," he said to Dr. So-Young Park, who had become the director of Galactic Studies. "Shall we accept their request for a meeting?" Dr. So-Young nodded as she reviewed data about the cosmic threats that were approaching faster than originally calculated. "The timeline has accelerated, Admiral. The advanced scouts of the Void Devourers will reach this galaxy within 18 months. We need to begin protection protocols immediately regardless of what the aliens decide." Admiral Tae-Jun Park, who commanded humanity's dimensional fleets, materialized in the command center through a fold in spacetime. His enhanced form could exist in multiple locations simultaneously, while coordinating defense preparations across hundreds of star systems. "The meeting is approved," he announced. "We will use the same chamber where they insulted us 5 years ago. It seems appropriate that their surrender should take place where their arrogance began." The rendezvous took place exactly as Admiral Tae-Jun had suggested. The Galactic Council chamber that had once echoed with alien laughter at human expense now trembled with fear as enhanced humans arrived for the meeting. Ambassador Hyunwoo appeared not in a simple diplomatic shuttle, but in a ship that existed across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Its very presence warped space around it in ways that made alien sensors scream with overload warnings. The aliens, who had once looked down on humanity from their elevated seats, now cowered as beings walked into the chamber, who had transcended every limitation that had once defined their species. Kethmore, the Valerian who had started this crisis by calling humans primitive mammals, pressed himself against the floor in absolute terror. His purple skin had gone completely white with fear. Zephyros tried to maintain some dignity, but the crystal being's light flickered erratically as it faced the consequences of its 5-year-old mistake. The hive mind that had dismissed human individual consciousness now realized that enhanced humans possessed both individual brilliance and collective coordination that surpassed anything aliens had achieved. "Great ones," Kethmore whispered from his position on the floor. "We offer unconditional surrender and place ourselves at your mercy. We know we do not deserve forgiveness for our arrogance, but we beg you to spare what remains of galactic civilization." Ambassador Hyunwoo studied the prostrate aliens with enhanced senses that could read their biological and emotional states with perfect accuracy. He felt their genuine terror and regret, but also understood that fear alone would not save them from what was coming. "Rise," he commanded in a voice that carried harmonics from multiple dimensions. "We did not evolve beyond our original limitations to become the tyrants you expected us to be." The aliens slowly returned to their seats, but remained ready to flee, or grovel as circumstances required. Ambassador Hyunwoo activated a holographic display that showed images from beyond the galaxy that made several council members physically ill with terror. "You offered to protect us from our own primitive nature 5 years ago," he said calmly. "Now we offer to protect you from threats that would consume your civilizations like fire-burning paper. The choice is yours to make." The display showed the Void Devourers in all their cosmic horror, beings of pure malevolent energy that existed between dimensions and fed on the life force of entire galaxies. They moved through space like living black holes, destroying everything in their path and leaving only empty void behind. "These entities have been approaching this galaxy for millions of years," Dr. So-Young Park explained as she materialized beside Ambassador Hyunwoo. "They consume all life and energy they encounter. Your current technology cannot even detect them, much less defend against them." Captain Minho Choi appeared through a dimensional fold, along with his enhanced crew from the exploration vessel, New Seoul. His ship had been tracking the Void Devourers for 2 years, gathering intelligence about their capabilities and weaknesses. "We estimate 18 months before the first wave arrives," he reported. "Current galactic defenses would delay them by approximately 6 hours before complete annihilation occurs. Enhanced human technology can protect this galaxy, but only if all species work together under unified command." War leader Drax Moore, who had spent his life conquering weaker species, found himself begging for protection from the beings he had planned to subjugate. "What must we do to earn your protection, Great Ones?" Ambassador Hyunwoo smiled with an expression that combined human warmth with transcendent wisdom. "Join the Terran Protection Network as equal partners. Accept enhanced human leadership in military matters while maintaining your cultural autonomy in all other areas. Most importantly, abandon the arrogance that made you believe some species are more worthy of freedom than others." Dr. Woojin Park materialized in the chamber along with his research team, who had developed the technologies that made galactic defense possible. Their enhanced minds had solved problems that baseline human or alien intelligence could never have comprehended. "The protection network requires complete cooperation," he explained. "We will share our defensive technologies and enhancement procedures with species that prove their commitment to mutual survival, but there will be no second chances for those who betray the alliance." President Jae-min Song appeared as a holographic projection from Earth, where he was coordinating the massive effort to prepare the galaxy for war against cosmic predators. His enhanced consciousness could simultaneously manage millions of different tasks while maintaining the ethical framework that defined enhanced humanity. "5 years ago you told us we were too primitive to govern ourselves," he said to the trembling aliens. "Today we offer you something your arrogance made impossible. True partnership between equals facing a common threat that transcends all previous conflicts." The vote was unanimous. Every alien species formally requested to join the Terran Protection Network under enhanced human leadership. The beings who had once planned to rule over humanity now begged for the privilege of serving alongside them in the greatest battle the galaxy had ever faced. The cosmic threats were real, and they were coming. But now they would face not just advanced technology, but the unleashed potential of human determination, combined with the resources of grateful alien civilizations working together for the first time in galactic history. Humanity had been underestimated and dismissed as primitive. Their response was not conquest but transcendence. And in transcending their original limitations, they had become exactly what the galaxy needed to survive the darkness that was coming from beyond the stars. The arrogant laughter of 5 years ago had become desperate gratitude, and the species that had rejected human friendship now treasured human protection above all else. 2 years had passed since the last human voice was heard in galactic space, and the silence was driving the alien species to panic. Prime Counselor Vextar floated in his energy form at the center of the Emergency Council chamber, while representatives from 12 species gathered around him. The chamber that had once been filled with confident voices now echoed with whispers of fear and confusion. "We have called this emergency session because the human situation has become critical," Vextar announced. His voice carried the weight of desperation that no one wanted to acknowledge. Ambassador Kretos of the Serpentine Dominion will present his report first. The snake-like alien uncoiled his long body and raised his scaled head to address the council. His forked tongue flicked out nervously as he spoke. "Honored counselors, I bring disturbing news from the Outer Rim territories. 3 human colonies that existed before the diplomatic break have simply vanished. Not destroyed or abandoned, but completely gone as if they never existed." A ripple of unease passed through the assembled aliens. The bird-like scout commander Nyx Ara from the Avian Concordat ruffled her bright feathers and spoke in her high-pitched voice. "The Concordat confirms similar disappearances across 17 different systems. Our best scouts investigated these locations and found worlds that show no trace of human habitation. The soil analysis suggests no one has ever lived there, yet our records clearly show thriving human settlements." The crystalline being Zephyros began to glow with an anxious light. When the hive mind was worried, their crystal bodies flickered like broken light bulbs. "The collective has analyzed all available data, and we have reached a troubling conclusion. The humans are not simply hiding from us. They are erasing themselves from our reality." Trade Minister Felnox from the Aquatic Federation emerged from his water tank to speak. His gills fluttered with agitation as he delivered his report. "The economic situation grows worse each day. Galactic trade volume has dropped by 40% since human withdrawal. The cascade effect is destroying commerce networks that took centuries to build. Species that could only communicate through human translators are returning to isolation. Border disputes that humans mediated are becoming active conflicts again." The reptilian delegate Skarmek hissed softly before speaking. "My people have always been warriors, but even we relied on human diplomats to negotiate with species we could not understand. Without them, the galaxy is fragmenting into the same tribal conflicts that existed before the Council was formed." Calthane from the Altarian Research Institute activated a holographic display that showed energy readings from across the galaxy. The patterns were unlike anything in their scientific databases. "Counselors, we have detected massive energy signatures emanating from human space. The readings are beyond our understanding of physics. Whatever technology they are using, it operates on principles we have never encountered." The hologram showed waves of energy that seemed to bend space itself. The readings pulsed with a rhythm that suggested massive construction projects or experiments on a scale that dwarfed anything the galaxy had ever seen. "We have sent probe ships to investigate these energy sources," Dr. Calthane continued. "None have returned. The few automated messages we received before losing contact suggest the humans have developed capabilities that make our most advanced technology look primitive." Captain Velcor of the reptilian hegemony's warfleet stood up with his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. His scales were scarred from countless battles, and his reputation as a warrior was known throughout the galaxy. 6 months ago, I took my finest warship, the Dominant Fang, to investigate human space. My vessel was equipped with the latest weapons and shields available to our military. We approached the boundary of their territory and sent a diplomatic message requesting permission to enter. The other aliens leaned forward to hear what had happened. Captain Velcor was not easily frightened, and his ship was considered one of the most powerful in the galaxy. The response came not in words, but in action. A single human ship appeared before us. It was no larger than a fighter craft, yet it moved in ways that violated every law of physics we know. The pilot somehow created a barrier around my entire dreadnought that cut us off from normal space. The captain's voice grew quieter as he continued. For 10 minutes we existed in a pocket dimension while the human ship circled us like a predator studying its prey. Then we were released back into normal space. The human ship transmitted a single message before disappearing. They said we were being allowed to leave as a courtesy, but that no alien vessel would be permitted to enter human territory again. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. If the galaxy's most feared warship could be neutralized so easily by a single human fighter, then what hope did any of them have? Far from the council meeting, Admiral Hae-won Kim stood on the command deck of the newest human warship. The vessel existed partially in normal space and partially in folded dimensions that made it invisible to alien sensors. Her crew, including Captain Sun-woo Park and Intelligence Director Yan-woo Choi, were monitoring alien communications throughout the galaxy. "Admiral, the alien probe ships are getting bolder," Captain Sun-woo reported. "They are trying to penetrate deeper into our defensive perimeter." Admiral Hae-won nodded as she studied the tactical display. The aliens had no idea that human ships were already operating throughout their space-gathering intelligence and preparing for what might come next. "Continue monitoring their movements, but do not engage unless they pose a direct threat to our hidden facilities," she ordered. "Dr. Woo-jin Park's research teams need more time to complete their work." In the secret laboratories buried deep beneath Earth's surface, Dr. Woo-jin Park was putting the finishing touches on humanity's greatest achievement. The Terran Ascension project had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. Working with Dr. Soo-jin, Nam and engineer Kyung-ho Lee, they had created technologies that would fundamentally change what it meant to be human. "The biological enhancement process is complete," Dr. Soo-jin Nam reported as she studied the test results. "The volunteer subjects have successfully integrated with the new neural interfaces. Their cognitive abilities have increased by 300%, while their physical capabilities have been enhanced beyond baseline human limits." Dr. Woo-jin Park looked at the data with satisfaction. The aliens had called humans primitive, but now they were becoming something that transcended the limitations of their original biology. "What about the dimensional manipulation systems?" he asked engineer Kyung-ho Lee. "Fully operational, sir. The enhanced humans can interface directly with our new ships and exist comfortably in folded space. They are no longer dependent on standard galactic environments or technology." Back in the council chamber, the alien representatives were reaching the same terrifying conclusion. The humans were not just hiding from them or developing new weapons. They were evolving into something completely different. "We must consider the possibility that the species we expelled from this council no longer exists," Prime Counselor Vextar said. "In their place, something new has emerged, something that may view us the way we once viewed them." The irony was not lost on anyone present. They had dismissed humans as primitive children who needed guidance. Now they faced the possibility that humanity had grown beyond them entirely. Scout Commander Nixara spread her wings in the avian gesture of extreme distress. "Our long-range sensors detect expansion beyond the galactic rim. Whatever the humans have become, they are spreading to regions of space we have never explored." The final piece of terrifying news came from stellar engineer Kextron, whose people specialized in large-scale construction projects. His report made several counselors physically recoil in fear. Energy analysis suggests the humans are building a structure around their entire star system. The power requirements would be equivalent to harnessing the total output of their sun. "We have no idea what such a construction could be used for, but the implications are staggering." The council session ended with no decisions made and no solutions proposed. The aliens who had once planned to rule over humanity now faced the reality that they might soon be begging for mercy from beings they no longer understood. In human space, the great work continued. The species that had been rejected as unworthy was preparing to reshape the galaxy in ways that would make their former dismissal seem like the foolish arrogance it had always been. The silence from human space was not empty. It was the quiet before a storm that would change everything. The massive space station turned slowly in the darkness of space like a giant metal flower blooming among the stars. Inside its crystal walls, Ambassador Hyun-woo Kim walked down the long hallway toward the main chamber. His black diplomatic suit was pressed perfectly and his face showed no emotion, even though his heart was beating fast. Behind him walked So-young Park with her tablet full of trade documents and Dong-hyun Lee, who had been doing these meetings for 20 years. The Galactic council chamber was huge beyond anything humans had ever built. 12 different alien species sat in their special seats arranged in a perfect circle. Each seat was made for a different type of body. Some aliens needed water tanks while others sat on heated rocks or floated in energy fields. The ceiling was so high that small clouds actually formed near the top. Hyunwoo had been to this chamber many times before, but today felt different. The aliens were whispering more than usual, and their translators were working overtime to change their words into human language. He could hear the electronic voices mixing together like a strange choir. The humans took their seats in the section marked for Earth. Their chairs looked tiny compared to the massive stone throne where the rock people sat, or the floating bubble that held the gas beings. Hyunwoo opened his folder and pulled out the trade agreement they had been working on for 6 months. Keth Moore from the planet Valeria was the first to speak. He was tall and thin with purple skin that changed colors when he was angry or excited. His forearms moved as he talked, and his voice came through the translator as cold and sharp. Before we discuss trade routes, the Valerian delegation must address a concern, Keth Moore said while his skin shifted to a darker purple. We have been watching human expansion into the outer systems, and we find it troubling. So Young looked up from her tablet and frowned. This was not on the meeting agenda. Donghyun shifted in his seat because he had seen this kind of surprise attack before in other negotiations. What concern would that be? Hyunwoo asked in his calm diplomatic voice. Keth Moore stood up to his full height, which was almost 8 feet tall. His skin was now turning bright red, which meant he was getting ready to say something important or angry. The concern is that primitive mammals like humans should not be allowed to expand freely through space without proper guidance, he said. Your species has only been in space for a few hundred years while we have been traveling the stars for thousands of years. The chamber became very quiet. Even the background hum of the air systems seemed to stop. Hyunwoo felt his hands get cold, but his face stayed perfectly calm. He had trained for years to hide his emotions during meetings like this. Zephyros, the representative of the crystalline hive mind, began to glow brighter. When these crystal beings got excited, they lit up like chandeliers. The voice that came from the translator was made up of thousands of smaller voices all talking at once. The crystalline collective agrees with our Valerian friends, the crystal being said. Humans lack the mental capacity needed for true galactic citizenship. Your species thinks with individual minds instead of connected consciousness. This makes you unpredictable and dangerous to established galactic order. More aliens began to nod their heads or make whatever gesture their species used to show agreement. The snake-like serpentine delegate hissed softly while the bird people from the avian concordat ruffled their bright feathers. Hyunwoo could feel So Young getting tense beside him. Her fingers were gripping her tablet so hard that her knuckles were turning white. Donghyun was trying to look calm, but his breathing was getting faster. What exactly are you suggesting? Hyunwoo asked, even though he was starting to understand where this was going. Keth Moore smiled, which was a terrifying sight because Valerians had too many teeth. We suggest that human colonies be placed under Valerian oversight. We have experience managing younger species and helping them develop properly. Your resources would be better used under our guidance. Zephyros glowed even brighter. The hive mind agrees. Humans should be classified as a protected species, like children who need adult supervision. We would ensure your people are cared for while keeping them from making dangerous mistakes. The other aliens were making sounds of approval. Some were clicking their claws while others were humming in harmony. The reptile people were swishing their tails back and forth, which meant they were happy. Far away from the council station captain, Minho Choi was standing on the bridge of his exploration ship Soul's Pride. He was watching the council meeting on the main screen because all human ships received the live broadcast. His tactical officer Ji-hee Nam was standing next to him with her mouth open in shock. Captain, are they really saying what I think they are saying? She asked. Minho nodded slowly. His crew was gathering around the screen to watch. Engineers and scientists who had been working quietly suddenly stopped what they were doing to listen. Back on Earth, Defense Minister Young-Soo Kim was in an emergency meeting with President Jae-min Song. The president was sitting behind his big wooden desk. While advisors filled the room, Technology Director Yoon-ji Lee was taking notes on her computer. Sir, they are basically asking us to become their pets, Young-Soo said. His voice was angry but controlled. They want to take over our colonies and treat us like children. President Song was quiet for a long moment. He had been dealing with alien politics for 5 years since first contact, and he had always known this day might come. On the military command station orbiting Mars, General Tae-jun Park was watching the broadcast with Admiral Hae-won Kim. Both of them had fought in the border wars before humanity met the aliens. They knew what it meant when someone tried to make you submit. "Admiral, how long would it take to recall all our people from alien space?" the general asked. 72 hours. "If we start now," she replied. "But sir, are we really going to?" The general held up his hand to stop her question. "Let us see what Ambassador Kim does first." Back in the council chamber, Hyun-woo was looking around at all the alien faces staring at him. Some looked smug while others seemed genuinely confused about why he was not agreeing immediately. They really believed they were offering humanity a good deal. He thought about all the human colonies scattered across the galaxy, families who had left Earth to build new lives on distant worlds, scientists working on amazing projects with alien partners, children who were learning to speak both human and alien languages. He thought about Captain Minho and his crew exploring unknown systems, about the Mars Defense Station where human and alien officers worked together, about all the trade deals and friendships that humans had built over the past 10 years. Then he thought about his grandmother, who had lived through the worst war in human history. She had told him stories about what happened when one group of people decided another group was not good enough to be free. Hyun-woo stood up slowly and straightened his jacket. The chamber became completely silent as everyone waited to hear humanity's response to their generous offer of protection and guidance. "The human delegation thanks the Galactic Council for making their position completely clear," he said in a voice that carried to every corner of the huge chamber. He bowed in the traditional Korean way with his hands at his sides and his head lowered respectfully. So Young and Dong-hyun stood up and bowed with him. "We withdraw from all diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council effective immediately," Hyun-woo said as he straightened up. The silence that followed was so complete that it seemed to suck all sound out of the chamber. Then Kethmore began to laugh. It was a harsh sound that came from deep in his throat. "You cannot be serious," he said between laughs. "This is obviously a negotiation tactic. You will be back within a month begging to accept our offer." But Hyun-woo was already walking toward the exit. So Young was right behind him with her tablet, tucked under her arm. Dong-hyun followed with his briefcase in hand. "Ambassador Kim, please be reasonable," called out the Prime Counselor. "We can discuss terms." Hyun-woo stopped at the chamber door and turned around one last time. Every alien eye was focused on him. "There are no terms to discuss," he said. "Goodbye." The three humans walked out of the chamber, leaving behind the most powerful beings in the galaxy, staring at empty chairs. Within 6 hours, every human diplomat, trader and civilian in alien space had received the same order: come home. All of them. Right now. The great exodus had begun, and the galaxy had no idea what they had just awakened. 6 months had passed since the day humans walked out of the Galactic Council chamber, and already the galaxy was feeling strange without them. On the research station orbiting Altair Prime, the corridors seemed too quiet without the sound of human voices mixing with alien languages. Dr. Zalketh from the Altarian Medical Institute stood in his empty laboratory, looking at half-finished experiments that would never be completed. The human scientist Seok Jin-yoon had been working on a cure for the bone plague that affected 3 different alien species. His research was brilliant and creative in ways that alien minds could not match. When the withdrawal order came, Seok Jin had packed his equipment and deleted all his files before boarding the last human transport ship. Now the plague victims would continue to suffer because alien science alone could not solve the problem. At the Nexus Engineering Complex, Boram Choi had been designing new propulsion systems that combined human intuition with alien mathematics. Her engines could have made space travel twice as fast and half as expensive. But when the humans left, she took all her blueprints and knowledge with her. The alien engineers tried to continue her work, but they could not understand the creative leaps that made her designs so special. On Earth, President Jae Song stood at the podium in the United Earth Assembly Hall. The massive chamber was filled with representatives from every nation and colony. Defense Minister Young-Soo Kim sat in the front row next to Technology Director Yoon-ji Lee. Behind them sat hundreds of officials who would help shape humanity's future. My fellow humans, the president began. 6 months ago, we were told that we were too primitive to govern ourselves. We were offered the chance to become pets of alien masters who would make our decisions for us. Today, I announced the Terran Isolation Protocol. The chamber erupted in applause that lasted for several minutes. When it finally died down, the president continued speaking. We will no longer seek acceptance from beings who see us as inferior. We will no longer beg for seats at tables where we are not wanted. Instead, we will build our own table and invite only those who respect us as equals. Young-Soo Kim stood up and walked to a second podium. His military uniform was covered with medals from humanity's early space conflicts. His voice was strong and clear as he addressed the assembly. The Defense Ministry has already begun implementing new security protocols. All human colonies are being fortified and hidden. Our exploration fleets are mapping systems that aliens have never seen. We are building a network of secret bases that will make humanity impossible to find or attack. Technology Director Yoon-ji Lee was next to speak. She was young for such an important position, but her genius with alien technology had made her invaluable. Her presentation showed holographic displays of new research projects. We have spent 10 years learning from alien science, she said. Now we will use that knowledge to surpass them. The Manhattan II project will combine human creativity with alien principles to create something entirely new, something that will make us independent of their technology and their trade. Deep in the underground laboratories beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Woo-Jin Park was already hard at work. He had been studying captured alien technology for years, trying to understand how it worked. Now he had a new mission. Working alongside Dr. Soo-Jin Nam and engineer Kyung-Ho Lee, he was building devices that would change everything. The alien technology was impressive, but it lacked something that humans had in abundance: creativity. Aliens followed rules and patterns that had worked for thousands of years. Humans looked at the same problems and found completely different solutions. Look at this, Dr. Soo-Jin Nam said as she pointed to a holographic display. The aliens use quantum tunneling to achieve faster-than-light travel, but they only tunnel through normal space. What if we tunnel through folded space instead? Dr. Woo-Jin Park studied the equations floating in the air. His mind was already racing with possibilities. Human mathematics combined with alien physics could create something that neither species had imagined alone. Far from Earth, Captain Min-Ho Choi was standing on the bridge of his ship Soul's Pride as it moved through a system that no alien had ever visited. His crew was working around the clock to map new worlds and establish hidden supply bases. Navigator Ye-Jin Park was plotting courses through asteroid fields where sensors could not detect them. Communications Officer Jun-Ho Kim was setting up relay stations that would let human ships talk to each other without aliens listening in. Captain, we have found another system with 3 habitable planets, Ye-Jin Park reported. No signs of alien presence in the entire sector. Min-Ho nodded as he studied the star charts. Humanity was finding worlds that alien exploration had missed, places where humans could build colonies that would never appear on galactic maps. Begin deep survey operations, he ordered. I want to know everything about these worlds before we report back to Earth. Meanwhile, in the markets and trade stations scattered across the galaxy, alien merchants were starting to feel the loss of human business. Hee-Jin Choi had been one of the most successful human traders before the withdrawal. She had a gift for understanding what different alien species wanted and finding ways to give it to them. Her trading ship, the Lucky Star, had visited over 200 worlds and made friends with dozens of alien cultures. Now her regular customers were asking where she had gone. The Aquatic Federation needed the special metals that only she knew how to find. The Crystal Collective wanted the art objects that she commissioned from human artists. The reptilian hegemony was looking for the rare spices that she imported from Earth. But Hye-Jin was gone. Her ship had returned to human space and her trading posts were empty. The economic networks she had built over 10 years were falling apart, without her to maintain them. On the Valerian homeworld, Kethmore was sitting in his office reading trade reports that made his purple skin turn dark with worry. Valerian profits were down 30% because human middlemen were no longer available to negotiate with difficult species. Humans had been able to work with anyone regardless of their biology or culture. They built bridges between species that could not understand each other. "Find me another species that can replace the humans," Kethmore ordered his assistant. But his assistant could only shake his four-armed body in the Valerian gesture of hopelessness. "Sir, there is no other species like the humans. They were unique in their ability to adapt to any situation." In the Crystal Collective's main processing center, Zephyros was analyzing data from across the galaxy. The mathematical patterns were clear. Human withdrawal had created cascading failures in trade networks' economic systems and diplomatic relationships. Species that had worked together through human mediation were now returning to old conflicts and misunderstandings. The collective, consciousness of a billion crystal beings, reached the same conclusion simultaneously. They had made a terrible mistake, but it was too late. The humans were gone, and no amount of regret would bring them back. Every attempt to contact human space was met with silence. Probe ships sent to investigate human colonies found empty worlds, with no trace of where the colonists had gone. The few automated messages that managed to reach human space were returned with a simple response: "The Terran Republic does not recognize the authority of the Galactic Council. All communications should be directed through proper diplomatic channels that do not currently exist." Dr. Cal Thane of the Altarian Research Institute was studying sensor readings from the edge of human space when he made a disturbing discovery. Energy signatures were appearing that did not match any known technology. Whatever the humans were building in their hidden laboratories was unlike anything in the Galactic database. "This is impossible," he said to his research team. "These readings suggest they are manipulating space-time itself." His assistant, Dr. Yelmara, looked at the data and felt a chill run through her crystalline body. "Sir, what if the humans are not just hiding from us? What if they are changing themselves?" The question hung in the air like a threat. What were the humans doing in their isolation? What were they becoming while the galaxy wondered where they had gone? On the edges of human space, automated defense systems watched alien probe ships approach and turn away. The probes never got close enough to see what humanity was really building. They never detected the massive construction projects or the research stations that were creating technologies beyond alien understanding. The galaxy had rejected humanity as primitive. Now they were learning what happened when you made humans prove they were not primitive at all. The silence from human space was not empty. It was pregnant with possibilities that would soon terrify every alien species in the galaxy. The humans were coming back, but when they returned, they would not be the same species that had been insulted and dismissed. They would be something new, something that would make the galaxy's former rulers look like the primitive children they had accused humans of being.